1970s, a device called the Teasmade was very popular in Britain. It was a regular alarm clock that also made tea, and it would start cooking a few minutes before the bell and wake a person up only when the tea was ready. 15-year-old Dorothy Counts's parents teach her to ignore hair pulling and cigarette smoke in her face. Dorothy was the first black student at Harry Harding High School in Charlotte, North Carolina, which allowed whites and coloreds to study together in 1957. One of the largest surviving Roman mosaic floors discovered during the construction of a hotel in Antakya, Turkey, on the site of ancient Antioch. The warping effect was caused by earthquakes and gives the impression of a giant patchwork quilt. The tricycle of a dead Japanese boy who was 1.5 kilometers away from the atomic bomb explosion in Hiroshima, 1945. Painting, King of Rome. Artist Jean-Georges Vibert, Rome, first felt the heavy hand of Napoleon when French troops in the revolutionary tricolor entered the city in February 1798, and the volatile Roman mob began to demand a republic with cries of liberty. The Roman goddess Juno had the title coin, which in Latin means cautionary or counselor. Near the temple of Juno on the Capitol was a workshop where metal money was minted. That is why we call them coins. And in English, the common name for money, came from this title. Incidentally, the original meaning of the word coin comes into play when we toss it up for advice. The cabinet with the keys to the coffins of all the Habsburgs. Each coffin was locked with 2 keys. One key was given to the Capuchin monks, along with the coffin of the deceased to be stored in the family crypt, and the second in the cabinet. In total, the closet has 139 keys. The earliest belongs to the coffin of Otto the Merry, who died in 1339, and the latest to Otto von Habsburg, the son of the last emperor, died in 2011. In the Middle Ages, those convicted of a crime were subjected to hordes, God's judgment, or the trial by water and fire. In one version of the trial, the condemned person had to put his hand into boiling water. If the hand remained unburnt, it meant that God had protected him and the person was released. X-ray pictures of Marilyn Monroe, sold for $45,000 at an auction in Las Vegas. The pictures were taken by doctors in November 1954, when the celebrity was examined at Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Florida with the diagnosis of endometriosis. The organizers of the auction had planned to sell pictures of her breasts for only $3,000, but proceeded much more. A photograph of the famous American photographer Richard Avedon, Dovima with elephants, an evening gown by Dior, taken in 1955 in Paris. In 2010, a buyer paid a record price of $1,151,996 at a Christie's auction for this photograph. A 5,000-year-old image found in Altai and signed Manika is a deity of the Turks. In Hinduism, there is the fertility goddess Manisa, a woman with 7 snakes around her head. A similar Hydra Chicomiquatl is painted in temples throughout Mexico as a legacy from the Aztecs. Joan Rowling holds in her hands the first published novel of the adventures of Harry Potter, 1997. Gunpowder alarm clock. Wakes up with an explosion. Such clocks with a percussion silicon lock were used in the 17th century. You wind it up for the right time, and at the right hour a shot is heard. The crew members of the Space Shuttle Challenger head aboard with smiles, planning another mission to orbit. 73 seconds after takeoff, the Challenger crashed, killing them all. January 28, 1986 says, in the 1950s, tobacco companies advertised cigarettes as healthful products.